welcome back to Mental Game Live. First time back in the studio in 2 weeks. I missed 2 weeks ago last week due to some scheduling issues I had. But I'm back from the U.S. Open at the LA Country Club, and we got some exciting things going on. Also going on right now at the exact same time is the College World Series with LSU playing Wake Forest. And as an alum, I want to see them do well. And I know Basham is here celebrating his group from last year winning the national title. And so we're going to dive into all kinds of things tonight. It's going to be heavy golf focused, heavy performance related, heavy on how to get you to play better. And we're going to dive in. What'd you think of the U.S. Open there, Bash?
I thought it was outstanding. I mean, I don't know what everybody had to gripe about, but yeah, I thought it was pretty solid.
Give people a Twitter account and they can gripe, right? So
for sure, that's for sure. I thought it was pulling for Ricky, but you know, it's one of those things.
You know, I will say this: I wish every year there was at least one major that was done on the West Coast so that we could have primetime viewing. And primetime viewing in Father's Day was absolutely money to watch it finish up. You know, you're on the West Coast, and I was over there. I went in Monday, came home, had unbelievably bad travel. I don't even know if you know my travel debacle. It's just part of the process of working and doing that. But came back Saturday afternoon, chilled out all day yesterday for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm fortunate enough to have two kids. I know you are too. I lost my dad about 11 years ago, so it's always a little solemn day for me. One of the reasons is because it was the day that my dad got sick for the last time. It was on Father's Day, so I didn't get a chance to talk to him that day. He ended up coming back around a couple days later, but it's always a part for me that I have some memories of, unfortunately. But I love celebrating it with the day, just chilling out, just being there. But here's my travel leaving the U.S. Open. All right. So my players, last one tees off around 2 o'clock. I'm like, I could probably catch a flight. I'm going to do the red eye. And I had scheduled the red eye for a 1 a.m. departure on Saturday morning. And the idea is I'll get home around 9:30, get to my bed around 10:30. I'll sleep a little bit on the plane, not going to rest. I'll take a 2-hour nap, and then I'm ready to go for the rest of the day, right? The reason I do that is I hate getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I hate being at the airport at 6 o'clock in the morning for a flight. And when I'm on the road, because I won't sleep that night, particularly if I go to bed late. And I never really, acclimate when I'm on the West Coast because I'm just I was going to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night because I was at the golf course by 4:30 in the morning. And for those of you who don't know, when I'm there with my players, I'm usually there about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And the average time I leave is about 8 p.m. And, but get back to the hotel, take a quick shower, and get back. So anyway, I scheduled this red eye. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Players played well. They're in good position. They're all like, yeah, go ahead and go. We're good. So I'm like, all right. So I go back to the hotel. I watch some of the U.S. Open. I watch the College World Series, chilling out. I'm tired. But I'm like, I got to stay up to 1 a.m. I got to stay up. Like, I got to go to the airport, and I can make it. And I'm going to pass out. So I book an Uber to pick me up about 9 o'clock. And if you haven't been to L.A. recently, I don't know, Bash, if you've ever been there, but traffic is brutal. Okay, there's no other way to describe it. I was 6 miles from the golf course at one of the host hotels. It'd take me an hour to get to the golf course in the morning. Okay, so brutal. I can walk it faster. So I'm like, all right, we're going to head to the golf course, or we're going to head to the airport. I'm on my way. We're cruising. Like I'm falling asleep in the car. Like I'm so tired. I'm like, I'll hit the Crown Room, the Sky Club, ready to rock. And as we get off at the exit, it says LAX. It is bumper to bumper, gridlock, not moving. People are walking on the interstate. I'm like, oh man, something's going on. People are walking on the interstate with their bags. I'm like, oh man, this ain't good. Right? And I'm like, keep an open mind, keep a positive mind, Of course, at this point, it's 11:30 over here. So I'm not going to text Missy and say, hey, look, something's going on. It just, I'm like, all right, whatever. And of course, my Uber driver was phenomenal, but he was Armenian and spoke like 3 words of English, which I totally get. Like I ain't got a problem with that, but I mean, I'm just like, it made conversation tough. And he's like, what's up? And I'm like, there's something. He goes, what do you want? He goes, what? Like, in other words, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And Teresa, you're right. I probably should have left 5 hours ahead of time. But had I done that, I don't know if I would have left on time. So when I get to the airport, we get to the exit, we're just stopped and we move a little bit. And finally I go on Twitter and they're like, suspicious package identified at LAX Terminal 1, bomb squad en route. They had evacuated Terminal 1. Now I'm flying out of Terminal 3, but Terminal 3, I have to go past Terminal 1 to get to I have to go past 1 to get to 3. So I'm like, you know what? All right. And then I started doing the math in my head and I started reading people on Twitter who are like sitting on runway, not getting out anytime soon. Sitting on runway, I'm thinking, I got 2.5 hours to my flight. The likelihood of this clearing up, me getting through security and getting my flight in 2.5 hours is like slim to none. And if you've ever been rebooked, sometimes they rebook you for 2 or 3 days later. I really wanted to come home at this point. Like in my mind, I was on my way home. So I was like, I'm going to call an audible because I'm sitting there. I'm like, take me to Orange County. Well, I can't get to the red eye, but I was able to find a flight the next morning at 6:20. I found a hotel nearby, rerouted my Uber, and I was able to do it through communication on the Uber app because the translate. And so rerouted. It cost me an extra $250 to reroute my Uber and $2,500 to fly home. Delta gave me a refund of $1,000, but I was like, I gotta get home. And I'm glad I did, as I wouldn't have got home. So anyway, but here's the whole deal. I was really impressed with my attitude. Totally impressed with my attitude. And I was really chill about it. Like I was like, what can I control? I can't do anything about it. I was exhausted. I was worn out, but I was like, it is what it is. I got to my hotel, went to sleep, got up the next thing, flew home, got here. So what? Made it home. And Nick and I able to go out for dinner. So there you go. You know what? Like I said, very proud of my attitude. Very, very attitude. Yeah, Teresa says your video quality is much better.
My video quality is better?
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't do anything different. So
yeah.
Keep what about
take that?
We're figuring it out, Teresa, as we go.
And you know what? So when I boarded the flight, I walk in, I'm like, all right, I can get comfortable here, whatever. And of course, I was fortunate enough to have lay down seats. So I was able to get a couple hours sleep on the flight in and rest.
Silver lining.
Silver lining. Good things happen to people I'm good at. Let me give you my
impression. Looks crisp.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, thanks, Logan. So let's do a little review of the U.S. Open here, the good, the bad, the ugly. How about that?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's talk about the good. I'm very pleased, very happy for Wyndham Clark. Wyndham's an old client of mine. He's not currently a client, but I'm pumped up and excited that he's done. He did well. There's a part of me that's like, I wish I was a part of that. But the reality of the fact is, couldn't be more pleased for him. Thought it was brilliant theater. I thought he played great. I'm going to talk about the golf course and all the other facets that go with it and the mental side to it. But congratulations to Wyndham Clark, John Ellis, his caddy, his entire team. Kudos. Congratulations. Life-changing experience. He deserves it. He works his tail off. He respects the game. He recommitted himself to his physical training, his swing, and to the mental game at the beginning of the year. He started working with a colleague of mine, Julie Elon. She does amazing work, and congrats to them. Part of me as a competitor is like, God, I wish I was a part of that. But I totally respect what he did and how he did it. So congratulations to Wyndham. Let's go to the bad. Let's go to the media narrative of LACC in the U.S. Open. All right, let me just say this. I'm going to say a couple things here about the U.S. Open. About 8 years ago, the USGA just totally sucked running tournaments, okay? Hated going, hated being every part of it. It was always seemed to be dysfunctional. The last 4 or 5 years, they're the best run tournaments, in my opinion, okay? I think there are some things that they don't do well, but I'm around the side ancillary. I love the fact that the USGA recognized the winning caddy. Kudos to that. Those caddies are out there. They're fighting. They're competing. They're doing everything they can with their players. They're giving it everything they got, just like the players. And just to do that small recognition of a plaque, something small, and recognizing John Ellis as the first recipient, kudos. Very well done. Congratulations, USGA. That is a class move to recognize the team. I thought that was great. Okay.
Isn't that something they're going to do every year now? Like they said that was.
Yes. Yeah. Look, and I think, I don't know a player, the old school players would be like, oh, no, the caddy doesn't deserve anything. They just carry the bag. Caddies today are strategic partners. They work with them. They're doing strategy. They're helping read putts. They are teammates. They are navigators with the players on the golf course. I absolutely love it. I think every element of it is there. The caddies work their tails off. They have a very tough job because you know what? They have to know what to say, when to say it, and not be wrong, right? That's tough. That is not an easy place to be. So I love it. I hope they continue it. I hope other places start recognizing it. And a lot of the caddies, and John was a two-time competitor in the U.S. Open. So, I mean, he's a heck of a player himself. He was a coach, assistant coach at Oregon. He knows what he's doing. So, love that. Absolutely love that. Now, here's my other side to this, the bad side. I don't care what the golf course is. We got to play it. I don't believe, and I know people are going to be upset with this when I say this, and some of my colleagues at Foreplay and No Laying Up and all the other ones are going to say, oh, a U.S. Open should be a slaughter fest. It should be awful. It should be, over par. Why? The best players in the world are dissecting a golf course and figuring out how to beat it. Celebrate great play. I think it's awful when you hit a great shot and you get punished. And like number 17 yesterday was a perfect example. There were times that players were hitting just over the bunker and it was rolling to the back fringe. What's the skill in that? I think when you hit a great shot like Wyndham hit on 14, you should be rewarded for that. If you hit a bad shot, you should be punished. I know the fairways were wide, but the landing areas in the fairways were small. And so it took a lot of precision. There were places to score. There were not. Number 1 was a birdie hole. You had to make birdie to get ahead. Number 8 was a birdie hole. You had to make a birdie there to get ahead. There were a couple other wedge places. If you were in the rough, you were punished. But it wasn't unfair. And it wasn't too easy. It was hard. And the best players in the world won. And they did their best. And they competed. So what? It's relative. Just, we could say, oh, well, look, it doesn't compare to the Shinnecocks and the Oakmonts. Who cares? I think it's stupid to have a hole that the ball lands on the green and rolls off, when you just drop it. And that's Oakmont. I've been there when you've seen that. I'm not knocking Oakmont. Don't say I can't play there. But what I mean is if we make it unfair, and you can put pins in unfair positions just to expose them, there's no skill in that. Now, I will say this. I thought number 6 was an awful hole. I thought number 7 should have been a drivable par 4. To play a 300-yard dogleg right over the trees, par 4, go ahead and make that a par 3 where the wedge game is the on point, not who can bomb it over there and get lucky with a good break. The 7th hole was a converted par 4. Let that be a drivable par 4. Let that be the risk reward. Those are the things I wish they would have done differently. But the golf course itself, spectacular. The homes on the golf course, ridiculous. The small number of fans.
Stupid.
Yeah, stupid. I mean, Aaron Spelling's house, 110,000 square feet, 7,500 square foot master bedroom. I mean, come on. Must be good to be a TV producer. But the small fans, the reason why there were limited fans, it was very hard to navigate around that golf course. There were buttons. I didn't even actually go out on the golf course once competition started because there was nowhere to go. Okay. And so to me, there's other places I go that you can't watch. And I'm going to pick on Oakmont for a minute. Don't run this in a replay, Bash, because I want to be able to play there at some point in the future.
This is going to be my first clip.
First clip, yes.
Yeah.
When I went to Oakmont, I couldn't see the action because all the fairways were above where the walking was. And so, not everything is built or needs to be a stadium course to be fantastic. Right? Some courses are great presented on TV. I thought LACC was brilliant on television. I think Sawgrass is brilliant in person. I think the Masters is brilliant. Augusta National is brilliant in person and brilliant on TV. We all don't need to be everything. Let's celebrate it where it is, right? I don't think cameras do Fenway Park justice. I think Fenway Park is a 10 times better ballpark in person than it is on TV. So
I have to disagree with you there.
No.
It is an absolute dump.
That's the charm of it. That's the charm of it. The seats are too small. They don't point you to home plate. It's got a fog about it. It's too small. It looks weird. That's the beauty of it. It's not a made for. It's not live. It's not a modern. You couldn't build Fenway today. Couldn't build.
You could certainly touch it up with some paint and whatnot.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing about it. It's like buying an old Mustang.
Yeah, it's got charm.
It's got charm.
Easy.
So that's
got some charm. Yeah.
That's my point about LCC.
Yeah. No, I got you.
You know what? We all got to play it. We're not going to be back in years or so.
The only problem I had, I guess, was Wyndham Clark's tee shot on 18.
Yeah.
I thought that was like, I think I got to hit that.
Do you think had the fairway been
not seriously, but like, you know what I mean? Like
I know
that drive and that spot or whatever, I was like, that's the only one where I was like, you got away with that one. Where it could have made for, a little bit more spicy television there at the end.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Let's think about this for a minute. Had he known that was a small fairway with limited, he had no room on the right, do you think he hits that shot? No chance.
I don't.
No. I think he goes. I think he goes to where the limits were. And in my opinion, I mean, Dustin Johnson hit a very similar shot when he won at Oakmont in the U.S. Open. He just started it way left and cut it in the fairway. That's what he did. He had room. That fairway was obnoxiously wide. In fact, as I was walking down the fairway in one of the practice rounds, I said, "This is the weirdest 18th hole for a U.S. Open I've ever seen." But I'm off of 17. I see why. It's a blind shot. You're into the sun. It's tough.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit that shot if it's in the if it's smaller, more narrow. He probably hits more of a fairway fine.
Yeah.
So, but he hit a hell of an iron shot there on 18 and a brilliant putt.
Yes.
My heart breaks for Ricky. Known Ricky a long time. One of the highest class individuals on the PGA Tour. His is coming. His is coming. It'll happen. Let's go to the ugly. All right. We're going to diverge from golf for 1 minute. Okay. Bob Huggins, the former coach at West Virginia basketball, was arrested for DUI this weekend and had to resign his leadership post. Okay. I'm bringing this up not because it's ugly, but because it speaks to the ugly nature of mental health among coaches. Coaches, please take care of yourself. You are leading men and women to compete in the best. Your mental health is as important as our players. We need you to be better. We need you to be more accountable. We need you to take care of your mental health and not have an overflow that you see in these kind of situations. I think it's powerful that we start investing in our coaches to help them play better, coach better, lead better. It's important that we make mental health of coaches a priority in this country. I got in trouble for a post I put up a couple weeks ago about athletic directors. I said athletic directors, your responsibility first and foremost is to check on your coaches. And I had people going, "Oh my God, I can't believe that." Listen, the people who are leading your organizations and your teams need to be right. They need to have mindset that is clear, that is healthy, that is balanced. Coaches make way too many sacrifices in their life at the expense of their health, their personal mental health, and their families. That crap needs to stop. We need to be putting coaches first. We need to be supporting them in every organization we have, and that means you coaches that are out there. Take a look in the mirror. Ask yourself if what you're doing is right. You wouldn't want your surgeon to go in and do surgery in the position that many of us are living our lives in. We don't want our pilots to do the same thing. So let's get our stuff squared. Let's get ourselves straight. And athletic directors, invest in your coaches. That's what it's all about. How about that?
Dude, that's nailed it.
Okay. Jason, I appreciate it. I wish more people would listen to this. Man, I want to get this message out. I want 15,000 people a month on this. But you know what? Our download rates are killing it on Instagram and TikTok, aren't they, Bash?
Yes.
When you put out those things? Okay. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's talk about, you want to transition here to my review of the 5 lessons you can take from the U.S. Open?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Here we go.
Let me get a different picture here. Here we go.
All right. Very good. Okay. So here's my deal about the U.S. Opens. Okay. I love major golf. But major golf makes people feel different, act different, everything. It's like playing in big games. I know. I remember when we used to go to the College World Series, as LSU's playing right now, and they're up 2-0 on knock on wood. But I remember my coach used to say, "Guys, everybody comes to the World Series and tries to be more, do more, and everything. And what happens is they fail." Major golf is the same way. Players play week in and week out against the same. I remember Brian Harmon telling me something a long time ago. He goes, "Hey, Doc, there ain't people coming off the boat anymore. Like when they used to play the U.S. Open, they used to play the Masters, there were dudes coming off boats from around the world, and they'd be like, 'Oh, my God, look at the size of that guy. Man, he hits us so.'" He said, "We play against the same guys every week. Every week. It's just different course, bigger purse, right?" So my mindset doesn't need to be more special. So the thing is, major golf, we all go in, and every player I know, And I do the same thing. And I want them hitting it good, feeling good, executing great. But the reality is, major golf is about the grind, not about the perfection. It seduces you into thinking that you have to be perfect because you see all the worry spots. Don't miss it here, don't miss it there. And we lose our mindset. Major golf is about the grind. It's about getting in the guts of it and fighting and working and knowing that you're going to go into a 72-hole obstacle course. It's going to kick you in the shins, poke you in the eyes, pull your hair, bite you, cut you, everything. And it's who can work through it. Because what happens is, and I give Brooks Koepka a lot of credit for this. Brooks Koepka says when he goes into majors, I look at the field and I cut it in half because I know half aren't built to win it. Then of the remaining 50%, I know half won't have their game. So I'm really competing against 20 to 30 guys. That's an amazing way to look at it. He never once says I have to be great. He never once says I have to play great. He says I have to do my job. The grind is what matters. If you go out and play, getting a great text from a young player today, I can't believe I played bad. I can't believe my swing wasn't good. We have to embrace that. And number two, thing about a major is we have to understand what's the immediate objective of the shot in front of us. If you're a pitcher, what is the next pitch? If you're a basketball player, what's the next play? My NFL quarterbacks, what is the play in front of me? Everything has to boil down to what is the immediate. We get so caught up with the future. And what happens is, because the majors elevate our mindset, what happens is we start running out to the future. We see ourselves holding that trophy or what it takes to play well, and we start losing that objective. If I walked in and said, I dropped this ball in the rough and your job is to hit it out and get it near the green, could you do it? Sure. I can take a player to a terrible rough somewhere away from a major and say, play this shot, and they play it. They get to a major, and all of a sudden the objectives start switching. I get it. Pressure's real. Never bought into the idea that pressure doesn't exist because I felt it. I know what it feels like. Pressure completely exists. Okay. Makes every element of us tighten up, mentally changes us, right? You know that if you listen to Mental Game Live. But the important thing is that every single time that you compete, you got to boil it down into the grind of the immediate shot in front of us. Now, here's the deal. The third point. Difficult doesn't mean impossible. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not possible. The winning score at the U.S. Open this week was minus 10 under par. Not much different than other places that they play on the PGA Tour. There's a hole at Colonial and Fort Worth that is a 400-yard dogleg right, par 4 over water, and the average score is about 4.5 on that hole. It's 400 yards. You don't have to make it 525 yards. If you set up a great hole that's well-designed, difficult doesn't mean impossible. The goal that we must have and understand how to compete is that we put a process in place and accept the difficulty of it, don't get caught up in the drama, and focus on what's in front of us. Now, here's the thing. So, Bash, I was walking the fairways, and I get a text from a good friend of ours, Alan Jager, right? Mm-hmm. And remember, he's been on Mental Game Live, and he asked me, he goes, hey, I'm out here watching, and come out, and he said, let me ask you a question. He said, do people feel like they need to be special this week? And I said, yeah. I said, it's like people pitching in the World Series. They feel like they have to do more. And he said,
it's like their legacy in sports depends on it or something.
Correct. Oh, it's like it's bigger. It's like, if I go to space, I have to be a better astronaut than the one I was trained as. Okay? You don't need to be special. Resist the urge to be special. That is a big thing in majors. You don't have to hit a better drive. You don't have to do anything like that. You just have to be you. And it's phenomenal enough, right? Too oftentimes people forget that. They think that they have to be perfect. Now, somebody like Wyndham Clark this week, he was number one in total driving. He was number one in putting. He had an amazing week. And I'm not knocking Wyndham. But there were a couple drives he hit on Thursday, maybe Friday, where the ball hit like the edge of a bunker and it jumped out in the fairway. That's his week. He took advantage of it. He made mistakes. He got the ball up and down. He made a brilliant move on Saturday on 17. Instead of trying to hit it out of the barranca, he took a drop, got it up and down, made bogey. Why? He has a ridiculous short game. He didn't need to be special. He played his game. And too many people try to be so perfect. They try to land it on a 3x3 region versus, you know what, it's good enough. Don't Don't buy into special. Buy into capable. What am I capable of doing right here? And last, the other thing about majors, the U.S. Open is brilliant at it. And this year was no different. Don't buy into the drama. There's drama all around you. There's all the noise. Drama just elevates the noise and causes us to get tense. Who cares what other people shoot? Who cares what the course is set up and stuff like that? Right? Now, that's the problem. You don't have to be special. You don't have to buy into the drama. All I want people to do is boil it down to what's the most important thing right now? What's the win? Okay? That's my feedback on the U.S. Open. You got any thoughts on that, Bash?
No, I think you're exactly right on the perfection aspect is so good, or is so prevalent, because it's like I think the majors are so. I mean, hell, Koepka says it every time the camera's in front of him. You know, I compete for the four majors, and
but don't you?
Yeah,
see
he's kind of like you talk about, like in the outliers.
He's like a baseball player, though, isn't he?
Yeah, or like a middle linebacker playing golf, just huge.
Yeah, I see him as like a right fielder.
Yeah,
he shows up to the ballpark and he's like, "When am I getting my opportunity to mash?" I mean, how many right fielders do you know that don't? I mean, they just take massive swings every time they go up to the plate.
Well, if they don't, then they're not in the game; they're on the bench. But
correct. A right fielder has two things: a powerful bat and a strong arm. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can't catch a fly ball. Just no. I think I think to an extent that helps him and like Dustin Johnson and guys like that who don't have a whole lot. I think their head is a little less cluttered than others.
I think so,
in a sense. I don't know. I think
they have the purpose to element and say, what is my job right now? It's not validation. It's not proof. It's not proving anything. It's competing. And I'm willing to put away all the other stuff on the bookshelf and go get this done this week and see what I can do. When I start hearing people bitching about the course, I'm like, check them out. Check them out. When I hear people bitching about the setup, check them out. Well, it doesn't matter. They didn't ask our opinion. They didn't. I remember at Aaron Hills, the night before the first round, because of the complaints of the players, they started cutting down the rough. The scoring at that course was ridiculous. You know, players drive the ball well now. If you want to make a golf course tough, make it where it runs off the fairway into the rough, but make the rough around greens punishing. That's how you do it. Okay? Tuck pins, make it firm, make it fast, make it hard that way. It's not the size of the fairways. You know, I mean, so that's what I think. Any questions on our list about the U.S. Open? Hey, if you guys are listening on Instagram, real quick, let me say this. Hey, if you guys are listening on Instagram, I'm going to get to the question and answer section in a minute. The only way to get your questions answered is to hit me up on YouTube. So I'm going to be shutting off the Instagram live feed now. So make sure you come over there. If you want to watch me, hit me up on YouTube. Talk to you guys on Instagram next time. There you go.
No, I think for the especially number 5, the drama aspect. I mean, I think it's like I keep bringing Koepka's name up just because I love his mindset and how he kind of thrives off of when there is drama. I play my best because I'm able to rise above the fray and not feed into it. He's like, I'm here to play golf. And then he mentioned too about another major. I forget which one it was, maybe Shinnecock or something like that, where everybody's bitching and complaining about the course, how tough it was or whatever. And he's like, I'm just here to play golf. Like, we got to play golf. You forget that. We're here to play a U.S. Open.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're doing, isn't it? I mean, it's if we put out a marathon run and said 14 miles of it is uphill, the guys, the runners may go, God, that was the hardest run ever, but they wouldn't say it's unfair. But I think everyone's always measuring against like world records, but it's a different course. It's a different objective. Who cares? Go run the race you're in.
Yep. That's it.
Yep. Scooter, we're going to get your question at the end. Don't worry. We got you. Okay. I see a really good question there, so we're going to answer that. How about we go into the 5 myths of performance? What do you say about that?
Let's take a break. We need to.
Let's take a
We
break.
need to.
Yeah, start on this.
Yeah, let's take a break.
So when I was sitting on the airplane the other day and I was flying in, I kind of looked at these. I was getting some tweets and I was catching them and I was like, man, that's just like dreadful. Some of the commentary. And I was like, oh God, it's just causing more pain than good. And it just kind of was rolling. And it kind of hit me as like, man, what are some myths I hear all the time? And I'm like, it just doesn't exist. Because, you know, I talk to parents, and I love parents. And I talk to players and they're like I had a player tell me one time, it's like, coach told me if I don't love it, then I need to go ahead and exit. And I was like, I don't know about you, but I don't love it every day. Like, I love what I do. I don't love what I do every day. I don't love it. I don't.
You don't like it.
No, I don't love paying taxes. No, I don't love that. I don't love staying up at night and worrying about people because I'm really good at that.
Right.
But I respect the reason I'm in it. I don't love watching players struggle. Don't love that, even though I know conceptually how important that is. And so I think I don't love traveling and missing a red eye. Don't love it. When you check in and they're like, wow, congrats on being a million miler and you're about to hit your second one. It's like, yeah, get the bonus card. Yeah. Okay. I don't love that, but I love the benefits of it. I love being able to take my family on vacation on frequent flyer points. I love that. So things like that, right? And so when I start looking at this, I think a lot of the things that we sell and put on, we put on commercials or we sell books. I'm like, you got to be hyped. You got to tap into that fire inside you. You got all this other stuff. You should never take it down. You should get up at 3:00 in the morning and work out and eat steel. Okay, doesn't exist. Okay,
that's such a eyewash.
Okay, I'll just say this: a lot of those motivational people that you hear that sell that and talk about that, they buy their followers. They stand in front of fake Mercedes or Ferraris. They walk by university, take a picture, say they work with those individuals. Come on, y'all. Don't fall for it. It's the same way of saying, here's your hack to lose 40 pounds in 1 week. It doesn't exist. Okay? Or else I'd have done it 4 times over. Okay? The truth of the matter is, it's a long journey. It's hard. It's not for everybody. And there are a lot of people along the way that are going to drop off. And in that success mountain, there's people that are going to drop off because it got hard. They doubted themselves. Circumstances changed. They didn't have the opportunities. They didn't have people believe in them. There's all kinds of factors why people exit the success mountain. But the reality is those who continue, who find a way to get it done, can bust the myths of performance. Let's dive into these myths. And number one is that you have to be calm to play good. I hate that advice. Like I read it today. Pressure doesn't exist unless you buy into it. Okay, so let me understand. When I'm in a very intense spot and my heart rate is pounding, I feel like I got to go to the bathroom. I can't spit. My hands are all shaky. That's not pressure? Oh, only if you make it personal. Well, yeah, I want to be great. I want to be the best that has ever done it. I want to be in those environments. I want to love those moments, right? But I know what those moments make me feel, and that ain't calm. That ain't calm. Okay? So when people say that and people do that, what you're doing is you're selling happiness. And if you go to a bookstore and buy books on happiness, does it exist? I don't think so. Happiness is something we find in retrospect. The greatest quote that came from The Office, right, is when they sit there, and I think it was maybe Andy, who looks up and goes, God, one of the cruelest tricks in the world is when we don't realize how happy we are until it's over. I love that quote. We don't realize we're in it. And that's what happens. So when we're fighting to get into flow, into this feeling like people don't think. Not thinking is thinking. Okay, that's an active element. It's like try to fall asleep right now. You can't do it. So what happens is we try to calm down and I got to calm down. I got to be clear. No, you don't. No, you don't. I can get you so fired up and so ready to compete and getting after it. And you know what? We're going to find a way. Okay, you can still do it. The stadium was spinning at the College World Series when I pitched in it. Swear to God, that stadium was spinning. Found a way. You can find a way. You don't have to be calm to get into flow. You know what gets you into flow? Accepting where you are and finding a way, and it just starts pulling together. That's it. Okay? That's what it takes. Not trying to force it, not trying to recreate what you did last time, not trying to be anything. Be you. Stop trying to be what all the writers are saying. Face you, face the challenge, work through. Just like I said on the US Open, what's the challenge in front of you? Get after it, find a way, get it done. That's how you get into flow. Thoughts, Bash? You want to disagree?
I was never calm.
What?
No, I was never calm.
Yeah.
I was a duck on water. Maybe calm exterior, but just feet were absolutely motoring under the water.
Yep. I always tell people don't go in a locker room bathroom before a game.
Oh boy. Well, on that note too, not the one you just brought up, but the kind of what the whole number one was about. But sorry,
not a lot of number ones.
Bathroom before, not a whole lot of.
Hey, if one of those Turtaways or whatever one of those things are, one of the sponsors, we're looking for it.
But just the kind of the hype up people and the motivation, and I got to wake up at 4 a.m. kind of thing. One, I don't understand why you need to wake up at 4 a.m.
No, you don't.
Never understood that. That just makes you tired and makes you go to sleep before everyone else later at night.
Right. Yep.
But also, like, there should be, if you are the person that needs to wake up at 4 a.m. and you need all of this motivation and stuff, like I get we all need motivation and we all need a kickstart, but like if you need that on a consistent basis, then how is that a problem that you need that much and you can't find it intrinsically to competitor yourself?
Dive into this. That's a good one I should have put on there, right? Is everyone says you should be intrinsically motivated. Okay. In theory, yeah, but at the same time, hoisting a trophy feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like having people know who you are feels really good. Okay, it's short term and it's fleeting and it's a little bit of a trap, but it does feel good. I mean, I remember one of the biggest debates we got in grad school was about the power of volunteering or charity. It's a concept called altruism. And the theory is that people who are truly altruistic, they don't care what other people, like what charity brings to them. I'm like, really? Like, it feels good to help somebody. Like, it feels good to help somebody up the stairs. It feels good to help somebody have a better day. It feels good. Like, we get a burst of that, of energy. Okay. Shouldn't we do that for intrinsic motivation? Or is it sometimes we just want to be good people? Like, does it matter? Like, I'm not doing it at the expense of others, and I'm not trying to win at the expense. Like, I want to get, like, for instance, in what I do, right, as a shrink, right? I want to be the best I possibly can be. Is it to sell more books? No, I don't think so. Is it to, the pain that the struggle that I feel about working with clients and making sure that they perform well, I actually miss it when I'm not doing it, but when I'm in it, it's hard. Teresa asked the question, is like, isn't a great day on the golf course better than a bad day, or a bad day on the golf course better than a good day at work? I don't know. Sometimes I have great days at work. It's a lot easier than a bad day on the golf course. Like, sometimes it is what it is. And so I think the calm down, that need to be intrinsically motivated, we're selling hope and we're selling perfect. It's like going on vacation. It's going to be the greatest vacation you ever have in your life. Then you can't find your luggage. Rooms, they put you in the wrong thing. The air conditioner's broken. The pillow's never comfortable. But I'm on vacation. Shouldn't I be enjoying this? Like, how many people tell me about going into holidays, like Christmas? They build up this, it's going to be a perfect holiday with all my family coming. And the next thing you know, everybody's at each other's throats, right? How about we just accept where we are? Don't try to be calm and just fight forward. Because number two, the other myth, trust the process, the results will follow. Will they? Will they? Are they absolutely guaranteed to follow? Because if that was the case, I would have won everything I was ever a part of.
100%.
Okay. You got to find the dog in you. Like, it used to tick me off, Bash. Some of my teammates, I'll call them out, not by name. They didn't go to class. They went out a lot. And yet when it hit the fan, man, they didn't give in. And I was like, I've done everything right. How do they get all the good breaks? And the things that I forgot and the things that I realized was that those guys just had fight in them. Maybe they couldn't balance their checkbook. Maybe they couldn't even add to 100, right? Maybe they didn't know how many months there were in the year. But the fact was, when it came time to get a runner over from third or less, home for less than 2 outs, they always answered the bell. So I think one of the things to think about there is like, follow the process. No, you build a process to increase the odds, not guarantee. You increase the odds. And I'll always bet.
I think that's the misnomer is people are so latched on to the process, and that it's like, I've done A and B and C and I've checked all those boxes.
Yep.
And why am I still not having success or what I think success should be? When the best of the best, Saban, let's just, the process and Saban are always simultaneously together. He never says that you're going to win or you're going to. No. And he said that's going to give you the best chance for success.
That's it. And that's the part that people miss, right? We had the system, and the system increased our odds, didn't guarantee anything. Just because you put all the ingredients in a chocolate cake doesn't mean the chocolate cake is going to taste good. Now, it will if you buy something off the box that's been tested time and time again, but you can control all the factors there. You can still burn it with a 375-degree oven because your oven may be different, right? So all those factors are critical. Number three, a myth, and we've talked about this a little bit. You got to find joy in the game. It's hard to enjoy hard. It's challenging to enjoy challenging. It's difficult to enjoy it when it's difficult. What that does is that increases the likelihood. But you look at, Wyndham Clark missed 24 cuts in 2 years and now won twice in 5 months, in 5 events, excuse me. So is all of a sudden now he's figured it out? We'll come back to number 5 in a minute. The joy, there were players that left on Friday night that were not having a lot of fun who are phenomenal players. There are teams at the College World Series that are getting beat. There are teams that lost the Stanley Cup, for Tom, that enjoyed it, but they left upset. Now, they may look back and say, that was a good year. I had a great time, but it was hard. I think when we say, you got to enjoy it. Why? Because you're not in it. See, that's why. It's always better to look at other people working out than you to actually do it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Am I right? Like, 100%. I love watching people run on the road, and I'm like, I wish I could do that. I don't want to do it. I wish I could. Okay? So you can't find joy in it. Okay.
If
Number 4.
Phelps doesn't run, then I'm not running.
Yeah, exactly. That's your new motto, isn't it? If it's not good 100%. Enough for Michael, it's not good enough for me.
Phelps gave me an out not to run.
Exactly.
Just got to swim 80 miles a week.
Yeah, exactly. All right, number 4, got to become good at accepting failure. Oh, I hate this one. Man, I hate this one. If you get good at accepting failure, failure is going to follow. Sorry. It's like people say, don't get upset and whatever. Are you kidding me? If I'm putting my blood, sweat, and tears into something, I'm going to be frustrated. I've got to be. Like, I don't want to be good at on dealing with failure. I want to know how to work through failure. That doesn't mean I'm good with it. It means I have a plan to deal with it. I don't want an airline pilot that is good at crash landing, but I want somebody who knows how to do it. Okay? And last, fix it, and you've got it figured out. No, that's a myth. You find the solution today and you increase the odds to having success tomorrow. But you know what? You may have that same struggle coming up again. Okay? The fact is, find the challenge in front of you, work through it in the moment, and put that knowledge on your bookshelf behind you, because you may have to, go back to it again. Those are my myths of performance. Oh, it drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. Is there any there for you that drives you crazy? Anyone that's not on this list?
Nothing that's on the list. I would say number 2, just the process in general drives me nuts. Not the following it, but it's such a buzzword, and I think people use it because successful people have used it, and they don't really know what the hell it is. They don't have a process lined up, or they don't have one written down. They're just like, follow the process, follow the process. Like, what the hell does it mean? Like, what is your process? Like, just trust the process. That's it. Okay. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Just trust the process. What does that? Okay. What does it mean?
When you got a bad break, how did you respond to it? Is that a part of the process? When you made a decision on what you're doing, how did you handle it? Like, how was your emotions and all the other things that go with it? Okay. That's what's critical. So I agree with you completely.
Yeah. I think those are pretty spot on. People just need to, I don't know if I've become more like cynical in older age, or just more aware of how hard competition is, and how hard, I guess, more appreciative now that I'm out of competition and seeing these people on a regular basis, like those guys competing yesterday and throughout the weekend, guys playing at the big league level or whatever, just how hard that is and what they're doing, squaring up 100 miles an hour, at the plate. Goodness gracious, that is hard.
Well, I love it. It's like, can't get the bunt down. Oh my God, couldn't make that field goal. Oh my God, missed that chip. It's like, I tell parents all the time, if you're going to criticize your kid, you need to be able to do it at that level.
Got to do it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You got to do it. And you got to show me where you could. Because my experience is the parents that are hardest on their kids have never done it. And the parents that understand it the most have lived it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. Let's get to some question and answer. LSU's in trouble. Its base is loaded. Nobody out. They're up 2-0. All right. Let's go to some questions.
All right. Let's get it rolling. Let me find him here. Promised Scooter he'd go first. On Scooter on YouTube, I have an 8-year-old son who is at a high level for junior golf, plays numerous associations. Are there any techniques you can suggest to help him with his emotional meltdowns? Every round we have a full meltdown followed by the last 2 or 3 holes being a complete joy.
Okay. So a couple things here. One is, it's sweet that he's playing at a high level right now. But remember, he's 8, okay, and high level is always relative. And what's going to happen is, as he continues to progress, if he's having a lot of success right now, he's losing the opportunity on the resiliency and the adversity side, because he's probably better than 95% of the players that are in the field, okay? And he's rolling with confidence. That's great. Like, that's cool. But we need to start identifying areas to improve. Now, here's the deal, though. 8-year-olds are not emotionally disciplined. They're not emotionally mature. Their brains aren't ready for that. So they've been having a lot of success, and then they face a struggle. It is a meltdown of a system overload. They're not prepared for it. They've never gone through it, okay? And I think the thing about it is looking at that and saying, okay, he has a meltdown. He will make a choice at some point if the meltdown is worth it. There's 2 reasons why kids have emotional meltdowns. One is they want to please you as a parent. And you say, well, I'm never out there. Trust me, I could hear my dad's whistle in front of 30,000 people. We're very in tune to what the feelings are, the thoughts are. Just ask my daughters when I went out and watched them play. Okay, they're very aware of what we're doing. And number 2, they want their competitors to realize that they got it under control and they're better than that. It's all about self-preservation. He hasn't learned how to overcome it yet. So what I would do is say, I am so excited that you struggled there. What did we learn? And when we face and see other players struggle on the professional level, don't highlight the fact that so-and-so plays great all the time. Highlight what somebody struggled with and how they worked through it. You can do those things. You can start identifying the success and failure of a player and realizing that it's a skill that has to be matched with emotional maturity. And I want you to continue to put him in tougher and tougher events and not celebrate every victory he has as if he solved the problem, but to celebrate the competition, the grind, the difficulty, and embracing that. Scooter, I think you do that, you're going to help him out a lot.
Dude, if I was judged as for my emotions as an 8-year-old athlete, they would never let me back. Like, they wouldn't let me play anymore.
You were a little tough.
Well, yeah, just some called it emotional. I called it competitive, but whatever.
Yeah, I get
it's
it.
Interchangeable.
I know.
Jason says on YouTube, how important is sleep for athletes?
I think it's great. So important. There's a researcher, Sherry Ma, MAH, who has done a lot of research on sleep in athletes and showed that she's actually changed the way that NBA teams, including mainly the Golden State Warriors, change the way that they go about doing their sleep. And so they changed the entire sleep schedule. Now, here's the deal. Okay. We want players to have a lot of sleep, 6 to 9 hours of sleep, 8 being the target. We want them to get off their feet during the course of the day and take a 15 or 20-minute cat nap at some point. But you can also play when you don't have good sleep. You don't need good sleep to help you. I've played many times on low sleep. I've performed very well on very low sleep. I've also played and performed and spoke with crud on a whole bunch of sleep. The fact is, we can be flexible. We got to understand where sleep impacts us. Research shows that 5 days of sleep deprivation is the equivalent of being an alcoholic or driving under the influence. Okay, 5 days of sleep deprivation, and I think that's the thing that you got to understand. Okay, now, second about sleep. Sleep doesn't have to happen. It's important for your physical and emotional recovery, but it is not critical. Okay. It's the overtime. What happens with athletes is they get out of competition and then they power sleep and they try to sleep 8 to 12 hours, and that becomes a problem. And that's where we get in trouble. Okay. Try to keep regular schedules to the best of your abilities. Okay. All right. Now, last about sleep, we got to look at the decisions that happen. A lot of times athletes are stuck and they're up all night and they're staying in situations like that. They're competing. They are playing weird schedules. They're moving. And you know what? It's hard to get done in a 10 o'clock game and go to bed at 11:30 at night. It's hard to be on a golf course, take a nap, and then get back to sleep at 8 o'clock at night. So you got to manage that and have a little bit of flexibility with sleep. But is it critical? Heck yeah. I wear the Whoop. I love wearing, not the Whoop. I wear the Aura Ring. I find that it is the best at predicting and identifying sleep and sleep patterns. I look at that and say, what kind of day am I having? It tells me a good day. You can use other tracking measurements. All right, next question.
From Tom, I believe in process, but how do you teach an athlete to understand what the actual is?
The actual process, that is where you start doing some exploratory understanding. Like, for instance, as a player, do you want to get to the ballpark or to the rink or to the golf course 2 hours before you tee off, or 30 minutes? Like, do you want to hit a lot of range balls? Do you want to warm up? How do you want to do it? Like, build your own plan and live by it. I think there are things that we know, but there are also things that we appreciate and understand. What's important is that you understand what your process is to be successful. I've got some golfers that communicate a lot. I got others that just do it themselves. You got to find what works for them. And I try to let them guide by asking them what they like, what they don't like, and why they like it and why they don't like it.
Nice. Robert on YouTube says, how does Ricky Fowler overcome becoming good at accepting failure?
I think one of the, I think somebody like Ricky, first of all, Ricky is a tremendous professional in every element of the game. Okay. Tremendous. Nobody gets good at accepting failure. What you do is you learn from it and you continue to go back. But here's the thing. It's kind of like what Rory said after losing yesterday. He said, I may lose 100 times, but it's going to make the next one more special. When Michael Phelps talked about not having a PR for 5 years, he got to the point he said, I know that I'm eventually going to break it. That's belief. Is that based on fact? I don't know. but he knew that he was eventually going to bust through. And as a player, that's what we need to be doing. We need to learn what it takes to bust through, and we got to keep pounding on the puzzle. We will eventually solve the puzzle. You got to believe that, because if you change, you quit, you abandon what you're doing, you're lowering the odds of success.
From Jason again on YouTube, thoughts on people being confident versus cocky? Is there a big difference in your opinion?
I think being cocky is great. I think being, believing that you can do it is great. I think the most important thing is finding what your interaction with the game is. Okay, whatever it is. I want you to come in and realize, and I found that belief is not knowing you can succeed. Belief is knowing you can handle and face anything. That's what matters. I want to come to a thing from Jim McClain that's on here. I'm honored that Jim is here. Jim is one of the legends of the golf teaching world. He said, I think one night of no sleep has no effect. For example, if you were actually in a war. But is that correct? Absolutely, that's correct. You may see some breakdowns in certain areas, but your adrenaline will kick and all the other hormones will push you to get you through that challenge. So absolutely correct.
And then from our good friend Andrew Rice.
Yeah.
What one piece of advice would you give to a young player preparing to play in a major?
Well, I think, a major is obviously overwhelming, right? It's the drama, it's the noise, everything gets elevated. I would allow them on the first day to experience all the noise, go to the souvenir tent, see everybody, go ahead and make it part of it, right? It's like I told team going to the College World Series, just go there and embrace the moment for a minute, right? Sometimes it's just the awe-inspiring nature of it. Then actually come down to it and say, I want to be clear of my intention on every shot I hit. I'm not going to lose that. Number two, I'm going to accept whatever outcome comes. And I know it's going to be hard, but I'm unbreakable. I'm going to keep finding a way. I'm going to keep pushing. And that's how we do it.
How does this is from Michael on YouTube. How does a player free up their short game and putting under pressure? Wyndham Clark was spot on in scoring. Rory struck the ball outstandingly, though was unable to go low.
I think one of the things is when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. And when things are rolling, it works really good. Okay. I think the brilliance of what you saw with Wyndham was he kept hitting those really good shots and he kept getting good results. Those weren't luck, but there were some good breaks, right? Rory, Ricky started missing putts. Okay. They stopped seeing it going. And we all tell ourselves, don't get upset, keep pushing, keep grinding, keep pushing. It's got to wear on you at some point. Okay. I had a question with somebody the other day. I said, what would have happened if it would have been 18 more holes? Well, it wasn't. Okay. But if it were, would Rory have come on? Would Wyndham? Those are all the things I look at, right? So sometimes when things are good, I played in a golf tournament recently where it felt like everything I did was working. And it was great. It was awesome. Okay. And those are the days we call it flow, but sometimes it's just a lot of things are going our way. The visuals are good. It's just a great time. Had a lot of fun with it. Any other questions?
I got one on the back of the original sleep question. You mentioned I'm going to put myself in back in my minor league baseball hat for a second. And I know we can't there's no such thing as catching up on sleep, is there?
Nope.
It's not
really.
It's not a real thing.
No.
But it's for traveling through the night, having to sleep during the day. Kind of exhausted at some point. How would you, on someone who may be, I don't know, I've never played on a golf mini tour or anything like that, but I would assume there's got to be some type of parallel between a lot of travel, unpredictable schedules, things like that. How do you navigate that? Maybe impossible to do.
Well, I think the thing you look at is you hear players, let's use golf, for example. You hear players make the comment I'm emotionally spent. Okay. And you ask, so I got 8 hours sleep last night, but they're still emotionally spent. How many of us go on vacation, sleep really? You got young kids right now, but we go on vacation, we sleep in every day, and we come back and on Tuesday after work, after vacation, we're exhausted, right? Because we slept so much, but it takes one night of bad sleep. But I don't know about you, but if I was going to do something I really look forward to, I don't need to sleep. because I got excitement and enjoy. I think the problem is knowing how low sleep impacts us, not the actual fact of low sleep. Yes, if you're a chronically bad sleeper, it's going to have performance impairments, no doubt. We know that from the data, from the driving data that mimics what somebody at a 0.8 DUI, a 0.08 DUI would be. Okay, 5 days of sleep deprivation is the equivalent of a legally drunk driver. But that doesn't mean that it's that means you can't perform well, because I may be a little bit more emotional, I may be a little bit more unpredictable, I may be a little bit more stubborn, but I can still perform. I think the biggest thing is accepting what you are and what you're not. I can literally say, I got no sleep last night and pull an all-nighter, and I can do it. I may get a little sick to my stomach. I may not feel great, but I can do it. Now, 2-3 nights in a row may wear me down, okay? But you can take a 20 to 30-minute nap. Science shows anything longer than 30 minutes is detrimental to you because you get into slow-wave sleep. And when you get into slow-wave sleep, you start shifting your sleep-wake cycle. So a 20 to 30-minute nap is great. But it's hard to be disciplined when you're exhausted and you finally fall asleep for 20 to 30 minutes. But that can be really, really good.
Right.
You just have to accept what you are. It's like, I can't see real well. Okay, so what? I'm hungry. So what? Do it. Like, ultimately, what happens is when we're tired, we start buying into all the drama associated with it.
Yep. From Lee, how do you handle a child who is harder on themselves after a game than you are? Our daughter is 11 and is the only girl on our baseball team and is always so hard on herself, even when she does well.
That's a great question. And that's what I talk about in my anxiety book that's coming. I promise it's coming. Is that we have perfectionism. That perfectionistic mindset is an absolute beautiful thing to deal with pressure and standards until it's not. And so for somebody right now, she's hard on herself. Just say, okay, give herself 10 or 15 minutes to lament it a little bit. Then after that, say we're done. Okay. And ask her the question, how good can you be after you've had that time? Give her that 10 or 15 minute time. Teach her how to review her performance. Don't tell her not to do it. Just say, tell me what you're looking at. Tell me why you're looking at it. Write it down. Study it for a few minutes. It's kind of like if you ever feel like you need to cry, you hold it back, you hold it back, you hold it back. It's worse. But then if you just turn and cry, it's over in about 2 or 3 minutes. So
that's it.
All right, guys. Mental Game Live again. When's our next one? Next Monday, I believe. Tuesday, June 27th. All right. Hopefully it's going to be right in the middle of Game 2 of the College World Series again. Hopefully LSU's playing again. It's a 2-2 game going into the bottom of the 6th. Both starting pitchers are out of the game. We got a good one going on here, guys. So I'm going to go watch this. Go Tigers tonight.